First, it is so great to see you. I love the hat. You
Thank
must have
you.
got it somewhere in Nashville because that's where you are right now, correct?
Yes, yeah. There's a girl that does custom hats through a boutique here, and I stumbled across it, so it's one of a kind.
I love it. By the way, as we speak, I can still say this as we speak. Happy New Year. How were the holidays for you, Christmas and New Year's?
It was cold because I went back home for a bit, but I did get to see lots of family and my niece who it was her first Christmas, so I had a great holiday and then came back early New Year and we're kicking 2022 off.
Fantastic. And with that kickoff, we're talking about a new single, new music, lots of great things. How is Nashville right now? Because I know for the last 2 years, 3 years, Nashville has gone through a lot, not just with the shutdowns and COVID like everybody else, but I'm talking like what, tornadoes, uh,
Um,
yeah, just like some crazy stuff up there. How is everybody there?
I mean, right now everybody is doing good. We definitely, I hadn't moved here yet when the first tornado happened.
Yeah.
I know there's still, I can still see lots of buildings and stuff being rebuilt, and there's still a lot of devastation from that. And then I went home last Christmas, and they had the bomb on Christmas Day, which was just wild, and they just opened up Commerce and Second, I think it was Second Ave to drive on. So it's just been a lot of like recouping and trying to get back to a place where everybody, I guess, feels safe. I had my first tornado scare a couple weeks ago laying in my bathtub, so that was really weird.
Wow.
But it's just, I think that every place has its things, and here it just seems to be tornadoes.
Yeah, and of course, as we speak recently, we in Toronto had our big snowstorm, which everybody was trying to dig out, and it was insane. But you are right. And, with COVID and shutdowns and everything else, one of the things that a lot of people have said have gotten us through has been music. Musicians like yourself have given us that moment to pause and just enjoy and just let ourselves go with great music. You're doing that for us again with this new year. Before we get into the new single, I want to talk about your career, the love of music, the fact that you are part of the Canadian country music family.
Yes.
And the reason why I say family is because Canadian country music is a family. Everybody helps out everybody. Everybody is so talented. And I keep saying, like, it's like this bubble that just wants to explode. How does it feel being able to follow along in that tradition?
I think Canadian country music right now is at its best it's ever been. Like everybody is. I think that sometimes there's been the stigma that like Canadian country just never really matches the U.S. country. They've got just such an ocean of artists, and our pool is a bit smaller, but we just keep stepping it up, and I love to see that from my peers. It lights a fire under my butt and gets me going. So it's just cool to see like us matching that. Not that it's a competition, but
No.
just matching that level of greatness that happens here in the U.S.
Here's what you do to add to that. You've got this good girl badass thing going. I love how you work that. Where did that come from? Where did the love of Canadian country music come from?
Always been a very like sassy but respectful
Yeah.
girl. I would definitely credit that to my parents. I had two older brothers that were really quiet growing up, and I just had all this charisma and character, and I was dancing around and singing all the time. And my parents put me in singing lessons, and I think that added to my personality for sure. And I mean, country music for sure was always being played in my house and my grandparents' house, and in the truck and the car driving to hockey games, like all that kind of stuff. It was just the genre of choice. And had an older cousin that also sang in and did country music, so he taught me how to play guitar. And so there's just always been this influence in my life. And as I grew and started to listen to other genres, I started kind of just finding my own sound.
Yeah, you definitely do. It's funny because I was watching videos and music. You remind me of if it was the Old West, you'd be the quiet person that nobody paid any attention to until trouble started, and then you were like I said, you were the gunslinger that just wiped everything out, and then just went back to being quiet again.
Give me some Yellowstone vibes right now. I just want to like be that person in Yellowstone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What kind of stories do you like to tell in your music?
I do like to draw from personal experience and also things that other people can relate to, relationships or just having a good time. And I feel like everybody can forget about their problems when you're in a song where it's feel good and it's good time. So my last single was that, and now I think this one kind of I think melds both of that, both sides of that, like having to be able to escape what's going on in your life or kind of facing what's going on in your life. So that's what I love about the new single Broke to Brand New. I think it kind of melds both worlds.
Now, were you talking about before I had a good weekend?
Yes, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit. Go back to that again. What's the story behind that single?
Yeah, I wrote the first verse and had this melody for the chorus. And my friend Ryan Sorstad, I was living in Saskatchewan still at the time, and he's a Saskatchewan native as well. Been living in Nashville for years, and he came over to my house and I showed him this idea, and he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." It was pouring rain outside. It was like the gloomiest day ever, and we just needed to pick me up. And so we wrote that song, and it happened so fast. Like all the pieces just fell into place, which those seem to be the songs I even gravitate to after the fact. Broke to Brand New was the same way, where it was just like it just spiraled and happened like a big snowball effect. But it had a good weekend. Just was that feel good tune, and I always knew that it needed to be heard and out in the world. So we released it February 26th last year, so almost a year ago, which is wild.
And that was during the pandemic, during, of course, the pandemic. So, how hard was it to record it and to get it released? Were you ever thinking about maybe holding it back and hoping things would open up, or were you just like, look, this is going to be here for a while. Let's just do this?
Yeah, I am the kind of person that likes to like bulldoze past the obstacles, and that was kind of actually before Had a Good Weekend. I had released my kind of comeback single I Wish You Would, and I had been working on that music prior to the pandemic hitting, so it was kind of ready to go. And then the pandemic hit the day we released that single to radio, and my team was all like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've been waiting too long, like let's just go." And I'm really glad I did, because I think it's built this momentum when everybody else kind of held back and didn't
Yeah.
know like if they wanted to release or not, and kind of put pause on things. I was like, no, let's just keep going. So I'm really glad I've done that. It's worked well for me for sure.
No, you know what? That's why the smart artist is, which is why we're talking about you. We're going to talk about your new single. A lot of artists go, "Yeah, I'm going to put my stuff out in October, November, December. I'm not going to put anything out in January." The smart ones put it out in January because everybody's still craving for music. As I
Yeah.
always remind people, that's one of the reasons why Britney Spears back in the day became big. She released her album in January when nobody else had anything out. So
Ah.
always something there on that. You're an award winner too, of course. Can you talk a little bit about that, please? Because it's no surprise with that when it comes to you and your music.
Thank you. I actually have it sitting right here. I haven't. I don't think I've even really showed this on a interview before. My
Ah,
Emmy award. Yeah. So yeah, 2019 emerging artist of the year. It's a little dusty. I need to clean it. Um, or get a new one. But yeah, it was wild. I was living in Toronto at the time and was opening for Cold Creek County the next night, and so I wasn't able to fly home for it, and it was the first SCMA that I had missed, and we watched it live, and Aaron Goodwin announced my name, and like Aaron's a mentor of mine, a friend of mine, and when he announced my name, I started bawling. We were in the car, like it was wild. So I really wish I would have been there to actually accept it, but it's pretty cool. It's a really cool feeling when your peers recognize your hard work.
is that the case where you're there all the time, doesn't happen, then
Yeah.
you're like, okay, you know what? I'm nominated, but it's gonna happen again. I've got other great things to do too. I'm
Yeah.
there in spirit, and then that's what you win. And you're like,
Yeah. My manager at the time, he was like, "You just look like more of a rock star because you're like out playing shows and you're doing your thing. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. And then it happened. And I was like, but I really wish I was there for it.
Don't worry, there are going to be a lot more happening with you there, and I'm not going to be surprised if it doesn't happen with the CCMAs as well. So
That would be amazing. A dream come true.
dream come true. Uh, Dream come true too. You've shared the stage with a lot of artists too, and you also are touring with Washboard Union, if I'm correct.
Yes, yeah. My first tour, like I've played a lot of festival shows and been one-off kind of opening support act artist for other major artists, but this will be my first kind of consistent. It's four dates, but my first tour, so I'm taking that as a win.
Yeah, no, and definitely, and they're great. Oh my God, they're great guys. Oh
Oh,
my
they're so
goodness.
humble, so down to earth, and just the coolest guys. Like you just want to pick their brains, which
Yeah,
I'm sure I'll do on tour with them.
yeah, and you know what? They have great fashion sense too. So if you're looking for any tips, they're the guys to talk to. Also, all
Yeah.
right, we've gone around all of this stuff. You've mentioned the name already, but I want to make this part official. What is the name of the new single, and what's it about?
It's called Broke to Brand New. I heard somebody I was playing a gig here in Nashville, and I heard somebody say that they had this broke down truck that was brand new to them. And even though the song has nothing to do with the truck, like at all, it sparked a little piece of my brain and into something else. And I took it home that night. I left my gig, sat down in the dark living room and wrote the chorus in 2 minutes. And we didn't even change anything about the chorus. It just poured out of me. And I sent it to some friends and they were all flipping out and they were like, do not write this with anybody else. You're writing this with us. And I'm like, guys, I sent it to you. So that's what I'm saying. Like, please help me finish this song and make it something special. Sometimes I find when you write something so fast like that and it feels really good and it's something great that you're like as a writer scared to write it the rest of it yourself because you might ruin it. Like you're just sort of scared and just tiptoeing around it. So I had my friends Golden West, they're a duo from California, Britt and Nash. They helped me as well as Ryan Sorstad, who's my fellow Saskatchewan native. So we actually all started crying once we cut the demo. We just listening back to it, we just really had that feeling like there might have been a couple White Claws involved, but like we had a little moment where we all cried. So
With things opening up, does that mean that more recordings are going to be happening? So there could be an EP and album. And two, are you going to be making your way down to Ontario or across Canada anywhere?
yeah, well, to kind of touch on album, when I actually got back I went home for the summer, played a couple shows and some small stuff back home. And then when I came back, I jumped right into the studio because things were good, things were open, and I recorded 3 songs. So we are in the works for either an EP or an album. It's kind of on hold right now, but I have a concept album I really want to put out. So hopefully that works out, and then hopefully I can come home and yeah, play some shows and promote the album and do the whole thing. So other than the Washboard Union tour, we don't have any dates confirmed with everything that's going on with COVID, but I'll be home soon. I'm sure I will be.
Okay, boots and hearts, boots and hearts,
Yes. Even that
boots and
for
hearts.
me.
Yeah, sorry, it was just frog in the throat. Boots and hearts. Get her down here. Before we go, I'm just curious though, is there any chance that you could be doing some acting in the future? Because I think you're a natural.
It's funny that you say that because when I was young, I did a lot of plays and musical theater and that kind of stuff. And I was just thinking about this the other day. I had a school, an acting school in Montana. At the time, they used to like go around and put on these plays, and in a week they'd like construct a play and put everybody into their parts. And 2 years in a row, I was one of the lead roles, and I think the last one was Princess and the Pea, and I was the princess. And I can't remember even how old I was, but they offered me like a scholarship to a school at the time, and my parents and we talked about it. Would have been in Montana, and we decided that music was more the vein I wanted to sit in. But as I get older, the more I kind of want to like see what that world's about.
I think you should do it. Like you said, you're a
Yeah.
natural.
You can
Definitely
be
a
my
natural.
advocate.
There you go. thank you so much for doing this interview with me. This was
Yeah.
so much fun. Congrats on the new music. And seriously, I'm so crossing fingers that somehow you get hooked up with Boots and Hearts here. Let me see. Actually, if I'm correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe the CCMAs is going to be up around in your home area this year. I
Yes,
could be wrong.
Calgary.
Yeah, so cross fingers, I'm going to be heading up there for that. Maybe you're
Yeah,
there. We can do a one
I'll
on
be there.
one. Whichever way, just congratulations on everything you're doing. I love
Thank,
this. Thank you again so much for the interview.
thank you so much, Rudy. I appreciate it.